Come on. We live? We're live? Yeah. All right. What's up, guys? This is Keith Kelfis with the Untrapped Podcast. We have an awesome guest right now, Kory Ballard, the founder of Ballard Products and Perfect Cut. This guy built a lawn and landscape business to I don't know, 25, 30 million bucks and automated the business and then built Ballard Products, which is a company that creates these amazing inventions that are accessories and attachments and all these accessories that you can use for lawn and landscaping products. If you haven't heard of them, tune in and listen to this. But most importantly, we want to talk about, and Kory wants to share, how to step up your game this year and be a real professional in your business. Things like being licensed and insured and overcoming fears. Now, Kory has an amazing perspective because he came from the trenches. He built his business from the ground up. He's been through every situation and scenario almost that you can imagine. He's faced ton of fears, brick walls, plateaus, and he's overcome them. So just listening to him and listening to his perspective and letting it sink in can be just hyper valuable. So if you're here now, we got some chats in the comments. And Kory Ballard, pleasure, man. What's up?
Not much, buddy. Glad to be on and good talking to you. It's been a little while since we've done this. I think we had you on our podcast as well. And it's always good to talk about our industry. And, it's getting close to spring. Actually, a lot of guys are out cutting grass and doing landscape already. And in Des Moines, we had 6 inches of snow last week. So we're still not rolling yet, but we're getting excited for spring season for sure.
I love it, bro. So let's get right into the meat potatoes. When did you start your business? What did the process look like to where you were hitting your head against the wall and you're like, I need to grow a little or get out of the field, and then just kind of like fast forward? I know it's like that'd be a 20-hour conversation, but just to give some perspective so we can go out and then go back in, tell us a little bit about yourself and your story.
Yeah, I mean, the short version of it, it's a lot like a lot of guys. I just started cutting grass when I was 14, pulling a mower around with a moped. And when I got into high school, I had a couple mowing crews, and I was getting guys out in the morning and cutting grass after school and on weekends. And, our community was growing. There was a lot of opportunity for us. And so the company grew fairly quick. I still wasn't sure that that's the path I wanted to take. I liked that I worked for myself. I liked working outdoors. But I had family that didn't know if it was a career, and I had people saying you should probably go to college. And so, it quickly grew. And I one of the things that I've done really well is I surrounded myself with some really good people right out of the gate, and just it blew up. And but over the course of a lot of rapid growth, we certainly learned a lot and screwed a lot of things up. And even today at our size, we're still learning, we're still making changes, we're pivoting all the time on what's our business model, how do we take care of, how do we get the best people, how do we retain the best people, how do we become better leaders and managers. And so that's really a 30-year journey, though, that a lot of guys don't understand or don't see that it's taken us a long time to get there. And so, yeah, I've been doing this a long time. And, man, I love our industry, and I love helping out anytime I can and talking about how to elevate other people.
I love it, man. That's a good 40,000 foot view. You're definitely super credible. You're talking about teams, management, the right people, and all that. Now, to zoom back in, let's just say you're getting your business off the ground. You got a truck and a trailer, a couple mowers. You're doing some landscape jobs on the side, and this is the year you want to hit it and say, I don't cross 100K or get to $250,000, and maybe you need to expand a little. What's some of the things that you're going to bump up against, and then some of the things that can protect you in your business, some things that have to start getting done, things that you can't ignore anymore if you want to grow your business and be able to sleep at night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a lot of things there, Keith. I mean, first off, if you want to grow, you need to be professional. You need to act professional. People need to look professional, whether you've got one guy with you or you've got 3 or 4 guys. Your trucks don't need to be new, but they need to look professional. I believe 100% there should be some branding on them, your name, your logo, website, or phone number, however you choose to do that. But I think the big topic right now is always people, and how do I get good people? And I think the smaller companies really struggle with that. And I get really frustrated when I hear this, and I hear it a lot, and you probably do too, and everybody does. Nobody wants to work. Everybody's lazy. And that's just not true. Is it more challenging today? Yes, it's certainly challenging. So you better create an atmosphere, even if you're a one-man, a small operation where you've got 1 or 2 guys, you better create an atmosphere that they want to come to work. That they want to work for you, that you're a good leader. And so I think, help right now is one of the issues. Obviously, pricing's coming up a lot. Everybody says know your numbers. I'm really tired of saying it, but it's true. But, are you making any money doing what you're doing, and making sure that you're saying no, and what jobs fit your business model, and if you're just cutting grass, what's your minimums, and what's your route density, and where do you want to get clients, and so there's so many things that guys can do inside of that. But there's a ton of opportunity. I mean, I don't know about you and your market, Keith, but man, there's new guys everywhere starting up, and there's enough work for all of us. But there's good customers and there's bad customers, and you've got to figure out a little bit along the way which ones fit your business model. And I just got my own lawn. I pay a guy to mow my lawn, and I mow the front, but I have a guy mowing, and he canceled me. I've never been canceled before, right? But I appreciated it. His name's Sean. He said, Kory, I appreciate you giving me the business. It no longer fits in my route. And I thought, good for him. He's got 2 mowing crews. My place is a little bit out of the way. It no longer, and I'm like, good for him. You know what? Instead of just like saying, shit, I'll go ahead and mow Kory's yard because I know he knows people and it makes sense. Because sometimes we fall in love with that. And now this is a long answer, but I used to love these accounts that were on the corner and our blue trucks would be there. We didn't make any money doing them, but I fell in love with the thought of seeing our blue trucks at the medical plaza or the fancy whatever it was. And so I think it's really important for guys to figure out exactly what accounts they want, how they're going to get them, and then how are you going to be reputable and do exactly what you say you're going to do.
Oh, bro. You're hitting some stuff right there. It's like you're talking about certain things that you're just talking, but I'm relating, falling in love with the idea or the idealism that, oh, we got that corner account, that commercial account right on the main road where everybody sees it. And it's this feeling like I was thinking about it just this morning that I was like, Jesus, the part of the times in my life where I was the most excited is really where I was just in a dream in my head and it felt amazing to me. And I was trying to quantify what percentage of that actually equals real results. Okay, well, what do you quantify results as? If it's just money, then you're kind of missing the mark because sometimes just being happy, like what you said, there is an importance to that. And it's a building block of being happy, feeling proud of your business, knowing that you get these certain accounts. And then when I hired a bookkeeper and I started getting around guys like you and becoming obsessed with, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. If it doesn't make dollars, every counting every penny, like becoming so shrewd to the point where I'm like brushing my teeth all pissed off. If it doesn't make dollars, like it got to this point where I was miserable and I hated my business and I'm raising the prices and losing my customers because everything had to equal like it, like that, and it got me pissed off. So let's just say I'm not trying to make this negative, but have you been through those type of cash flow purgatories where you were growing and then like maybe you took a huge pay cut because you hired more people and you started getting burned out? Like what does that look like and how do you transition through those phases from a smaller perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I think every business kind of has these ebbs and flows, and you're going to find where there's certain sizes that you're uber profitable, and then there's some size as long as you know it going into it. But I remember when we were growing, and I don't want to get above anyone's head here and think, well, that doesn't relate to me, but at $3 million we were crazy profitable, and at 5 million we weren't. We needed a bigger facility, we needed another mechanic, we needed more production people, and so but we knew it going in. So I think as long as you know that, okay, I'm going to have to hire some additional people. Maybe I need another facility or a bigger facility and my rent's going to be double, or maybe you're buying something. But we knew, okay, at 5 million, we're probably not going to be as profitable going in. We've got some additional fixed costs. We got some additional overhead. And so we had many ebbs and flows in there. And the thing where we really failed, and I hope guys don't do this today because it's crazy if they do, because there's so much information out there, but we didn't have adequate software in place. So we weren't billing on time, which means, guess what? We weren't collecting on time. So we're out there with fancy trucks, great accounts, great employees, and we got no cash. We got no freaking cash. And I remember every Tuesday we would meet with our team, and it was all it was 90 and 120 past due. And we're out doing work and we're not collecting. And part of it was we weren't invoicing on time. We weren't following up well. And so, yeah, man, there's been times when, and then before we changed our snow model, especially when we used to do snow per push and we'd just be sitting around praying for snow before we went to more of a seasonal model. But yeah, man, Keith, there's been so many years where, and I've told this story many times, and it's almost embarrassing, but when we did $10 million, we lost $150,000 that year. And remember just being like so depleted. Like, how do you do $10 million? And I was young. I was maybe 29 or 28 years old. And I'm on top of the world. I got this ego and pride. And I'm like, we're doing 10 million. We lost $150,000. We were so sloppy. We had stuff insured we didn't own. We had cell phones bouncing around. We weren't collecting our cash. We were doing work for everybody for too cheap. We were price matching. We just were sloppy. I think we fell in love with this idea of being big. And I remember, a guy saying, would you, rather be big or profitable? And I said, big, because my ego got in the way and my pride. And I thought, well, we'll just get really big and then we'll fix the other stuff on the back end. Well, the problem was you gotta do the back end stuff when you're small, because when you get bigger, now you got a freaking animal on your hands. And so I don't know if that answers your question, but man, we've been through so many learning lessons, and we started doing things we weren't good at. We got into parking lot sweeping. I thought, well, we put down sand and salt. Why would we not sweep the parking lots why would somebody else sweep the parking lots? We already have the relationship.
Yeah, so you're leaving money on the table. It's low hanging fruit.
Well, let me tell you why. Because we're not a freaking parking lot sweeping company. That's why. Because we don't know what we're doing. We were cleaning windows, and I know you know a lot. But our commercial clients were asking us to clean windows, and we're like, well, shit, this can't be that hard. And you know what? It's not hard if you're good at it. But we're not a window cleaning company.
You got new employees on Monday, they're cleaning windows. Tuesday, they're cutting lawns. Wednesday, they're digging trenches.
We didn't know. And so, I always tell guys, man, what are you good at? What are you most profitable at? What is your business model, and who are your ideal clients? And just write down on paper. This is who we want to be. This is the clients we want. This is the type of people I'll need to service them at their best. And then you go after them. And we got so spread out. We were in erosion control, and we were doing all kinds of crazy things. And so for us, it was a great lesson. I'm glad I learned it. And I hired a CFO, and he came in and told me, we basically said, hey, how much more money do you want to lose? And I said,
you hired a chief financial officer to go through the business,
but I needed
cross every T, dot every I, and look exactly what's making money, what's breaking even.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I needed, Keith, is I needed somebody that wasn't emotionally attached to the business to tell me the truth. And I remember him telling me, you're going to lose 100,000 next month. And I said, you don't know that. And he said, yeah, I do. I said, based on what? And he said, based on the last 6 months. I said, oh, okay. And so, I needed somebody to be honest with me. And sometimes as business owners, we think we know it all, and we don't want to take outside information. And I just had to look in the mirror and say, hey, dude, to your point, like, this isn't working. Like, I've created so much stress. I'm working 80 hours a week.
With how many employees?
We were at that point, we probably had 80 to 100. I mean, a lot. But when you don't have cash at that point, it's not like you need to throw in $5,000 to cover payroll. It's $100,000, right? So when you're short, you're short. You're not just like, hey man, I'm going to pitch in $5,000, we'll get payroll. And I remember, our office manager saying, like, we're short, we can't make payroll. And we're running to the mailbox looking for checks. And we're like, there's not enough checks here today. And, you start putting your personal back in there. And that's a humbling experience. And so learned a lot from that. And we just started getting lean and mean and smart.
Lean and mean and smart. Well, I want one thing so I don't forget. So, because I make videos about landscaping, we get collectively, I don't know, 3 to 5 million views a month. Sometimes we post these crazy shorts and they get we've got like 13 million views 1 month posting just crazy stuff. It's like, but anyways, a criteria of the people who watch my videos are just getting started, and they're so excited. And I get these messages in my inbox sometime, and I'm so excited because I remember how I felt. But some of these guys are like, bro, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna grow a multi-million-dollar business. Just watch me. So from somebody who is just getting started, who that's their vision and their dream, maybe they believe that will make them feel worthy, or maybe like that'll make people they love proud of them, or for any different reason. What is your advice to them in a positive way? And because I mean, everything you're saying is positive. And then from your perspective, why did you want to keep growing and growing and growing? What was it for you? And what is it for you?
Yeah. So I can tell you this based on a lot of friends in the industry, and I was doing some consulting for a while. And I remember Tom Fitzpatrick, a good friend of mine who runs a company out east. He got to $1 million, and he said he's never been more depressed, because that was his goal. I just want to get to $1 million. And when I get to $1 million, I made it, right? And he said he got to $1 million, and there was no parade. There was no Nobody brought balloons to the office that day. And so I don't want guys to get too crazy with falling in love with this number. Now, I love dreaming big. I want you to dream big, but I like guys that say, you know what I want to do? I'm going to do $1 million this year, but I'm going to do it at 15% minimum net or 20% minimum net. Or I'm going to do 2 million, but our threshold, we're going to do it at a minimum net of 12%, whatever the number is, that talk about top line and bottom line together. Because when you just grow that top line, it feels good. You're right. And you impress your friends and your parents and the people that said you could never do it. And I think that's what drove me a lot. And when I look back, I had a chip on my shoulder and I just wanted to prove to everybody that I could do it. And I did it for the wrong reason. And so when you ask me, why did I keep growing? A lot of it was ego, and it was for the wrong reasons. And luckily I had great people around me, and we made it through some of those really tough years, that 08, 09, when the recession hit. But some of that was the best things I ever learned. I mean, it taught us a lot about business, and it really opened my eyes. But I love that guys are excited, and I wanted to be excited. And I talk to guys all the time, like, if I get to $1 million, it's good. My life's, everything's going to be solved. And that's not true, because you can do $1 million in net zero. And now you've got all the headaches, a lot of liability, a lot of stress, and no cash. And you're not home. Let's say you're married and you got kids. You're not with your wife. You're not present with your children. So you've got to find this balance. And we've been talking to a lot of guys on our podcast, and a lot of guys are downsizing, but more profitable. My buddy Leroy, who's on the Green Grind, who you know.
The Green Grind podcast. That's your podcast. The Green Grind podcast. Everybody check that out. Or keep going.
Now he's growing a little bit, but he downsized a little bit last year and profited like 25 or 28% net. And he's like, Kory, we did less top line. I made more money than we've ever made. I had less stress. He's like, I'm just sticking to what I'm really good at. Why?
And is that him just doing sales and marketing, or is he actually in the field, or what's going on?
He's not in the field, but he was in the field a little bit this year. A couple of times I called him. He's like, dude, I'm out on a lawnmower. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm short people. I got to go cut grass. And then he was running one of his turf applicating machines. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, spreading fertilizer. I go, what for? He goes, a guy didn't show up, And so he's like, I got what I got to do. But I love when people are talking about how they can be profitable today. Because, man, this is tough work. I don't have to tell you. It's hard work. You've got equipment. You've got people. You got the weather. You've got all the inflation going on and fuel. If you're going to go out and do this and not be profitable, man, just go fishing or just go. Like,
why? You don't want some good ass whoopings? You don't learn some good life lessons?
Yeah, it's tough. And so, I love that a lot of guys are ambitious. There's so many guys kicking ass in our industry right now, young kids. I mean, I'm following some guys that are 18, 19 years old, and they're just kicking ass. There's a guy in our community that's like
crushing it.
That's 20. I think he's doing 3 million.
That's awesome.
Killing it. Let me say this. He's doing 3 million. I don't know what he's netting. It looks really sexy on the outside. They could be on the inside banging their head against the wall every day. But so I encourage guys to grow, but I just want to make sure people are not hoping that growth is going to fulfill something inside of them that they're missing. I always thought a fancier car, this or that, a bigger house would make me happy. And I've told you this, I think, before, and a couple of times you and I've talked. None of that shit worked for me, Keith. It didn't. It works for about, how long it works for? About a day. You get that fancy car or truck you've been dreaming of, and your new Chevy, and you jack it up, put wheels on it, and then the next day you're still like, okay, I'm not any happier than I was yesterday.
All right, so what about to the guy who he just got his brand new truck, he got some new mowers, he's got some guys who they're swamped, maybe pimped his life a little bit, upgraded the lifestyle, just went on a vacation, but he's got no payroll, no paying employees cash, no workers' comp in case something happens, and he just keeps kind of pushing that down, and he's like, it's too expensive.
Well, that's just not a sustainable business model. You don't have a business. You have nothing that you can sell long term. There's a lot of guys doing that, and they're making a living, right? I mean, we all know guys that are out. I always use cutting grass because it's simple. It's an easy entry for them. You can go buy a couple mowers at Home Depot and you're cutting grass, and you don't have insurance, and you're making decent money, and you're not working for anybody else. But you've got a job and not a business. You have nothing that you can sell long term. So, I encourage guys to do the right thing. Get an LLC or an or a corporation. Get your insurance. Pay your people legit. You have to. And then if you don't, you can't. You want to go buy a house and you go to the bank and you're like, you got your books. What are you going to show them? It's not legit. So, if you're looking to just make a few bucks, go do that. But if you're looking to build a company long term, man, you've got to set everything up right from the get go. And especially if you want good people, I mean, you've got to offer competitive pay. Anymore, you got to offer benefits.
So what if you go totally legit and then you give your employees raises to compensate for the taxes and all that stuff that's coming out, and then you raise the prices on the customers a little bit, but then all of a sudden you're competing against a bunch of other trucks who aren't licensed or insured. Maybe, I don't know what percentages that is. And then you're rapidly losing clients. So you're increasing your marketing, your advertising spend, and you're just out there. And now your business becomes a revolving door of losing customers and trying to fill up the bucket with good clients who will stay. Like, I'm talking about the attrition rate, because, and then maybe you've taken a huge pay cut because you've gone legit. Like, what about these guys that are in that purgatory right now? How do they cross that chasm when they're afraid that they're going to be working for free, so to speak, or hypothetically speaking?
You first want to identify, why are you losing clients? I mean, is it quality or is it pricing? Because I believe if you do high quality work, you won't lose clients for $5 or $10 cheaper. But and there is some truth to that. There is times when guys have grown companies, including us, and I had people making more money than me for a while. I remember at one point, like, my salary was way less than it should have been, but I knew long term, if we just did the right things, that if you take care of the things, the money will take care of itself in the long run. That's easy to say back then I didn't have much overhead. I didn't need much to live, and so I was able to live on a pretty modest. I had my company truck and cell phone, and I didn't need a whole lot to live. But yeah, you're right. When you do go legit and you start paying your people competitive wages, now you get a 401k, and now you get health care, and you're like, shit, now I got to raise my prices. Now I'm not competitive. That's also when you really got to look at that business model and say, do we have the right clients that allow us to sustain this? Because the easy thing is, just raise your prices. Well, that doesn't work. You can't just raise your prices. If you're not profitable, guys, will just raise your prices. Well, what if your prices are already legit and you're just not running very lean? You're not looking at your efficiencies. Are there better ways to pay your employees? Is there a pay for performance type setup where you can incentivize guys to be more efficient while they're out there on the jobs? Your guys know how long jobs are supposed to take. Every job that we do at Perfect Cut, everything's on an iPad now, but every job says exactly how many man hours that job needs to take. And we give them 80% of the allotted hours. So that way, if they hit it, we are more profitable. I mean, but they need to know. I mean, do they just show up and if it's a 2-hour mow, are they there for free? Oh. Do they know how long the job is estimated for? And your guys have to align their interests with yours. Because I said this on a podcast recently, and a guy told me I was crazy, but if you just pay people hourly and there's no incentive, if I work hourly for you, Keith, and you just pay me $20 an hour, and I could wrap up the job at 3:00 on Friday, but I can drag my feet a little bit and get back about 5:30 Friday, what motivation would I have to? I'll just drag my feet a little bit. I'll roll in about 5:30 Friday. Maybe I'm on time and a half. Maybe I'm on overtime because it's Friday. I just dinged you for $75 extra. I just, and so you have to align your interests with theirs and incentivize guys. They got to know how long jobs are going to take. And so,
I know the feeling of pulling my hair out, knowing a job can get done today whole job can be done by 5 p.m., even 4 p.m. And then the shit drags on till noon the next day.
Yep. And then you got another trip. You're making another trip out to finish the job that should have been completed. And
yep.
And so when you pay people hourly, that's the hard part about it is you've got to really keep those guys aligned. They've got to understand to be efficient that you can pay them more. But
real quick, that's my weakness in my business. I'm a pushover when it comes to employees. I've had so many bosses when I've had landscaping jobs that were, what is it, the carrot and the stick? Beat you with the
Yeah.
stick. Let's go, let's go, let's go. I had this one landscape boss at a lawn care job I worked at. When we pulled up at the job, he's in the driver's seat, guy in the middle, three of us in a truck. If you didn't run your ass to the back of that trailer and beat him to drop that trailer door down and get that mower out and haul ass and cut this whole apartment complex, like it was just walking on eggshells. And I would get off work. I'm like, I hate this guy. I hate him. I hate him. I remember one Sunday I flipped out and I called I called this guy up. He's my boss. This is years ago. He goes, it's Sunday. He goes, what's going on, Keith? Saw a caller ID. I go, you motherfucker. and he's like, what's good? He's like, if you're so stressed, why are you working for me? I was like, oh yeah. So it's like, I'm just being funny here, but I used to be like that. Let's go, let's go, let's go. The first few years, and I'm like, well, you're only going to get out of people what you're going to get out of them, and then how long does the stick work? And then,
Yeah.
So how do you like, without getting too deep, how do you incentivize? We got about 8 minutes here. We're going to jump off, but what is the good? Because I do a payroll and I do bonuses on jobs. Like if we do a job that's $8,000, $12,000 or something, I won't take on the job unless I can work in a $300 to $500 bonus for each of the guys, and I'll let them know like separately. Hey, I worked in if we can get this job done by Friday, it's literally I'll give you a $500 bonus. If it takes till Monday, it could be a $400 bonus, like so on and so forth. And that they'll actually get that shit done when they're getting bonuses. But how do you work in some type of value proposition for them?
Yeah.
So it's incentivized.
It's certainly tough at our size now because we've tried all kinds of different bonus programs, and the devil's advocate is that will they just cut corners to get the job done quicker, right? So that's always the challenge. Is if you incentivize guys to go faster, guess what? Now you could risk your quality, and so it's always that fine line of trying to get them to be efficient, give them the right tools. But I think to your point though, it's communication. Hey guys, we've got this project. We really need to wrap it up Friday. If we can do that, we've got some bonus in here. It's as a small company, it's nice to be able to show those guys exactly. There's software out there now, which is Mike Andes has got one, which is called P4P. There's several other out there that show those guys. And when you start incentivizing guys and letting them see that the more efficient they are, that the more they can make, it's amazing how much more you'll get done. Because to my point, if I'm just hourly, why would I kill myself? I actually make less money to bust my ass hourly. It's counterintuitive. It doesn't make any sense. So you want me you want me to work my ass off to get done at 3, and I bring home less money to my family?
Wait, you just gave me an epiphany, bro. So instead of emotionally, like me being upset because the guys aren't, I'm like, oh, I'm a pushover. Why am I being going through all this emotional crap in the business? You just install, I'm making it sound easy, but the epiphany is you install structure, frameworks, systems, incentivize things. They're written, they're expressed in the form. They can read it, you verbally tell them, and it's off your hands. There is no emotion. Get it done by this time, and that's right. If you cut corners, you got to go back and fix. Don't cut corners because you're like, it's just a very cut and dry thing, right?
Absolutely. And in the software now that's out there, there's several of them that it shows the guys exactly how many hours they have, and it shows them if they beat it, they get X dollars. And so it takes it takes it off your plate. There's no emotion. There's no arguing about it. It is what it is. And so I think it's just very, very important to be clear and upfront about it. And it doesn't take rocket science, especially for the small guys. If you're doing landscape design or install or mowing, it's just very simple. But it's got to be a win-win for the company and the employees. So if we've got 50 hours of mowing to do and we can complete it in 40, I'm gonna give you 5 hours of pay extra. The company wins 5 hours, the employee wins 5 hours. Everybody wins. If there's callbacks, and we usually have to do it a week, you have to pay bonuses usually a week in arrear, because if there's callbacks, then those get deducted. And so nobody likes callbacks. So kind of important. I hate to say it, but to post those on a board where you've got, crew 1, 2, 3, and crew 3 had 3 red cards, and that means they had 3 callbacks last week. Nobody wants to see that, and pretty soon the guys will start going, shit, I don't want to see my name on that board with a red card. That means I got to go back. Now, as the owner, you have to make a decision on, was it poor quality, or was it just maybe it was a customer situation? Maybe we got out there and it was a little bit wet, and we knew there was going to be maybe some grass marks on the concrete, whatever. And it's like, it's a callback, but we sent them out when it was wet, and kind of part of the deal. And so you got to make some exceptions as an owner, but you've got to, man, the number one thing you can do is you've got to be an ambassador for your company. You've got to be a leader, and you've got to communicate. We have tailgate talks every morning. We talk to our guys about what's going on, about being safe, about efficiency. I mean, everything, safety glasses, all the things. How
And
do
you
we
document all those meetings?
Yeah, absolutely. And how do we load properly and unload properly so nobody gets hurt?
So you're like a legit corporation, and you've done your due diligence, and you file it away. So therefore, if anything happens, like, hey, we did our due diligence, right? We had safety meetings and okay.
And proper training, constantly having proper training with the guys, and not only showing them how we do things, but why do we do it that way? People they train and they just say, this is why we do it. But you show them how, you show them how, but you got to tell them why we do it this way, because it's the safest way. It's the fastest way. It's the best for the customer's property. It's safer, whatever. And so there's more than just showing guys how to do things. You have to take the time to train people. And I think so many of us, including us in the beginning, man, guy walks in, we throw him a blue t-shirt and he's on a truck the next day. And then we're like, well, he's not very good. Well, no shit, he's not very good. We didn't train him. We didn't tell him who we are, what we stand for, what our customer values are, what our core values are. What type of work do we do, and why do we do it that way? And you've got to sell people you've got to sell them on your story and who are you as a company. That doesn't mean you have to be 100 employees or 150. If you got two guys, they better know who you are, what you stand for, and that you're going to take care of them, and what opportunities. People aren't going to stay at a company where there's no opportunity for them. I'm just telling you, they're going to go work. There's so many opportunities and jobs out there that if you don't offer it to them, they're going to go work for the big guy, and he's going to take care of them.
I love it, bro. That was good. Hey, your podcast is the Green Grind podcast, right?
Sure.
It's on all platforms.
Yep. Every Tuesday we drop a new episode, and we try to get great guests on there. This year we're really working on bringing guys in that are 3-5 million plus, and I'm only doing that because last year we had a lot of small guys on. I really want guys to learn, like, what did it take to get to 3 million? What did they have to do as owners and managers, and what did they have to change internally to lead 20 guys instead of 5 guys? And
wait, what did they have to change internally, in their head and in their heart and inside their business?
I think they have to be honest with, what are you good at? What are you best at? Are you the best sales guy at your company? Then you should do sales. Are you the best guy at operations? If you're terrible in the office or terrible at books, hire somebody and get back out. If you're the best sales guy, go sell. If you're the best operations guy, run operations, then hire a sales guy. And so I think as owners, we like to think we know it all and we can wear all the hats, and you can do that, but you're not going to grow. You have to be really honest with yourself. And then sometimes I'm old school. I write down, what am I good at? What things do I suck at? And what do I need help with? And who in my company, if anybody, can help me with these tasks? And if not, I need to hire somebody, and they need to have this skill set, because I know that we've got a void right here, and we can't grow, without filling this gap. And so I know what I'm good at, and I have to be really honest about it. And I stay in my lane, man. I just try to do the things that I'm best at, and I try to hire great people around me to do the things that I'm not good at.
Man. All right, let's end there.
Okay.
That's good. Because as you talk, you bring up things. I'm like, I want to go for another 20 minutes, bro.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having me on. It's always fun. We could go for hours for sure.
Oh, bro. All right. Kory Ballard, Ballard Products, ballard-inc.com. And hey, I love your Instagram videos. I'll be scrolling through Instagram, and then all of a sudden I see Kory on a mower. Muscles popping, bro. What's up? I'm Kory from Ballard Products, blah, blah, blah. And you'll just talk about some new, I don't even know how you invent all that stuff, but that stuff's amazing. Everybody watching and listening on the Untrapped podcast as well, check out Ballard Products. Genius, bro. I love your stuff, man.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Keith. We will certainly catch up soon, buddy.
Peace out. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, man.
Later.